Well, if you have a cell phone, you really have to listen up to this. Alarming new findings about using your cell phone after hundreds of law enforcement agencies admit to tracking Americans through their phones without their consent. That is not legal, by the way. Is the government violating your Fourth Amendment rights? I have a feeling of what Judge Andrew Napolitano is going to say. He's Fox's senior judicial analyst. Judge?
The answer is, if the government does this without a search warrant, yes, it is violating.
But how would I know? How would I know if they're doing that?
You wouldn't know, because this device, and we all carry these, especially in this business, so we can be in touch with our producers and our colleagues, has a GPS device in it. And the government has software which would allow it to access this GPS device and follow this wherever it goes. So if it's in my pocket, it can follow me. The government admits that it is doing this, but it is reluctant to use evidence obtained from this in a courtroom, because that will place the constitutionality of its practice in front of a judge, and then a series of appellate judges, and maybe even the Supreme Court, which will say you can't do it. Now, why do I say the Supreme Court will say you can't do it? Because in the past year, the Supreme Court came down with two rulings. One said the police can't plant a GPS device in a car where the driver does not have his cell phone with him without a search warrant. The other said the police can't stand outside of your house with some sort of a sophisticated surveillance or monitoring device that would enable them to find out what you're doing inside the house without a search warrant. So it is clear they can't use this to follow you without a search warrant, and it is clear that they know that.
Is it a little bit of a slippery slope in that we all carry cell phones? We know that in most cases that they can be tracked when they're on. And so it's kind of out there, all this information in the universe, and quite frankly, very few of us know exactly what's out there and exactly who's taking a look at it.
Well, it's a great question, Jenna, because privacy, the right to be left alone, the right protected by the Fourth Amendment, is one of those things that changes as time changes. The linchpin of privacy, what is private, is what you expect to be private.
Well,
so if we soon expect that these things will enable the police to follow us, does that mean we no longer expect privacy when we have them in our pockets?
Well, you have to think about the people, you know, the annoying people at the grocery store. They're having a full-on personal conversation in the fruit aisle. You know, and they're not really expecting privacy there, Judge.
Well,
so why are their conversations
they're certainly not
protected?
expecting privacy in the end of the conversation that we have, but they probably don't think that the government is listening to them. But look, the government has better things to do than listen to a person in the fruit aisle.
We hope so.
But do we really want to live in a society where the government knows everywhere we've been and can almost anticipate where we're going to go, and where the government can use this to listen to a conversation that you and I are having, even when it's turned off? The only way to disable this from becoming a listening device is to disable the battery. Do we want to live in a society where the government does that, no matter how well-intended the government might be? Or are we so afraid of what's happening around the world that we want the government to know everything about us?
These are some big questions, Judge. We're going to have you come back.
We got to get the answers.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching that cell phone of yours. Judge, thank you.